That's why I rock with him.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
That's why I rock with JV, man.
JV.
All right, week 3, Sunday NFL football was wild. The great thing about the NFL is you never know what to expect. Even when you're a terrible team facing a great team, the outcome is unexpected. You don't know what can happen, and that's exactly what we saw in so many different instances today. Who had Carolina Panthers 30-0 on their bingo card? I sure as hell didn't. I don't think anybody else did, but that's the NFL. That's why you love the sport. That's why you're tuning back into the JV show with JV for another Sunday afternoon recap. As you know, if you tune into the show, I get Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football after Monday Night Football's game with my boy Steven, so stay tuned for that. But right now, we're hopping into the Sunday slate of afternoon games, which was crazy. We have so much to get into. Full transparency, we're going to cover some of it tomorrow as well because there were so many games you got to touch on, so many upsets we want to review. So we're getting into all of that content coming your way this week. Before we get the episode started, I would like to remind you I am sponsored this year by Big Third Down Shop, who sent me a ton of really sick NFL hats. And this hat right here, the JV show, go ahead, check them out. They're an up-and-coming brand. We got a giveaway going until Monday Night Football where you can get yourself 3 free NFL hats if you enter. Go check that out. It's on my Instagram at the.jv.show. And without further ado, let's hop right into this week's afternoon slate of NFL games. Kicking us off with a game I'm assuming most people watched, the Eagles and the Rams. Eagles take it 33-26. And man, was that first half atrocious for Philly. I'm watching the offense go in the first half. First quarter, I think they had -2 total passing yards. And I was honestly worried. I didn't even know what I was going to say on the show if that's how it ended. I was concerned, scratching my head, but they turned it around. And honestly, I think it's a testament to how good of a player Jalen Hurts is and the type of leader he is. Just another time we've watched Jalen Hurts surprise us. I mean, if you're getting surprised at this point, you know, it's pretty crazy, but he keeps proving the people wrong that hate on him. And it's crazy because so many performances year after year after year, he should have solidified himself now as at least a top 8 quarterback, but some people don't think so. Unfortunately, they're wrong. Every single time we watch Jalen Hurts touch the football in big moments, he turns up big. Come on now. Give Jalen Hurts the respect he deserves. Give Jalen Hurts his respect. Give him the keys to the offense. He deserves it all. He balls out. When the moment is big, when the lights are on, you can count on Jalen Hurts. Time and time again, we doubt Jalen Hurts, and he proves everyone wrong every single week. And I feel like over time, he builds his group of followers, and it's slowly building and building, but there are still the doubters, the haters, the critics, but he'll silence them every single time he has the opportunity to do so. Like I said, first half, absolutely atrocious, but the second half, they really turned things up. After his fumble, which was early in the third quarter, and the Rams capitalized, I think it was 26-7 at that point, Jalen Hurts took over. When you give Jalen Hurts the freedom to sling the rock, he delivers big time, all the time. Big performances, game after game after game without disappointment. There was a lot of frustration in the first half. A.J. Brown took a personal foul, and then obviously the Hurts fumble early on in the third quarter. I thought it was wraps at that point. But Philly, with the guidance of Hurts and the leadership of Hurts, carved their way back into the game. They were down 26-7, and Hurts led a 19-point comeback, scoring 20 unanswered points, and then finishing with the Jordan Davis fumble recovery, touchdown with the blocked field goal, obviously. But I think there was something to be said about Jalen Hurts. There is something to be said about players that perform in the biggest moments without disappointment, and Jalen Hurts is one of those guys. To be a truly elite quarterback, I said this last week, you have to have great moments. Somebody like Tua doesn't have the great moments. For me, he just doesn't do it for me in the big moments. Just flat out passing the eye test. We'll talk about the eye test later, but he just doesn't do it. When I watch Jalen Hurts, he is the guy I want when the most pressure is on. When the game is at its peak intensity, Jalen Hurts seems to hit another gear that most guys on the field cannot hit. And that's just straight facts, plain and simple. It's pure confidence, it's ball security, it's playmaking. There were multiple times today Jalen Hurts hit that next level and took over the game. There was a timing throw, I think, to take the lead against the Rams to Devonta Smith, that out, great ball. How about the early ball to A.J. Brown down the sideline? Get him going. I think the truth about Jalen Hurts, and we got to come to realize this, whether you hate him or love him, you have to respect Jalen Hurts. You have to respect what he does and what he's done already. The stats today, 21 of 32 passing, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 40 rushing yards, and a touchdown on the ground. 4 total touchdowns, well over 250 yards, a great day passing, dominant day on the ground. What more can you ask of Jalen Hurts? He carried this team on his back today. The run game wasn't going anywhere. Saquon couldn't get anything going. Granted, Lane Johnson ended up getting injured. Offensive line wasn't as good as they usually are, and we know them to be. Jalen Hurts stepped up yet again in a big moment and won a big playoff caliber game. So how many times are we going to doubt him? I just don't get it. And you already know what the media is going to be tomorrow. It's so damn predictable that they'll praise Hurts, but then next week he'll pass for 150 yards and they'll complain. And it's like, can we just give the guy some damn respect? Holy smokes. And I'm such a big Jalen Hurts fan because of the critics, because of the people that hate on him for absolutely no reason. He deserves the respect. Now, Philly fans, listen, they might get out of hand a little bit. Not going to lie to you. They might, over-exaggerate things talking about Jalen Hurts. That's why I pump the brakes. And the ironic thing is Hurts is actually such a humble and calm dude when he's speaking to the media, when he's speaking in interviews. To me, it doesn't resemble what Philly fans think of him. Like, they act so crazy about Jalen Hurts, and he's just such a low-key guy. But anyways, I digress. Give Jalen Hurts the respect he deserves. Game after game, he shows up. He improves. He gets better. He deserves absolutely everything and more of our respect. As far as the offense goes, Philly's offense is officially back. Wow. Like, what a game. Like I said, first half, down in the dumps. But the second half, impressive is an understatement. Kevin Patullo has one of the easiest coordinator jobs in the NFL. Screw that. Easiest jobs in the NFL. Let your players and your talent go to work. They are good enough. Just don't stand in their way. That's the only thing I ask. Kevin Patullo has to step out of the way and let his players do the work. Only good things happen when you throw the rock to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and let Saquon Barkley go to work. Only good things will happen. That first half, holy smokes. I didn't know how difficult it was to get the ball in A.J. Brown's hands. I couldn't comprehend it. I'm watching and I'm just like, give him the ball. Give him a fade. Set something up for A.J. Brown. Wasn't happening. Kevin Patullo has to get out of the way and let the offense do what it does best. Don't overcomplicate things. Keep it simple. Keep it foolproof. Run the rock with Barkley. Toss the ball to A.J. Brown and Smitty. Let Hurts use his legs, and this offense is unstoppable. No defense in the NFL can stop the Philly offense. You just can't. Find me a defense that can halt this offense for 4 straight quarters of football consistently. Now, they'll have their bad days, right? They'll have their off days. But over an 18-game span NFL season, you're screwed. The only team that can stop this offense is Philly. Philly, they are the only ones that can get in their own way. And that's what's really scary. That's how it was last year to open up the season. And once they cleaned things up, after that Week 4 game, after the Week 5 bye, they came by and they just dominated. Now, I get it. It's tough. I'm reading here, Lane Johnson obviously went down. And that's a crucial part to your O-line. I don't think the O-line has been as good as we expected, as we saw last year. They don't look as aggressive. They're not creating the separation at the line of scrimmage that we need. They're not pushing linemen too far downfield. There's limited space for Barkley to go to work. With that being said, though, toss the ball out to A.J. Brown, to Devonta Smith. You see the great things that happen. A.J. Brown today, 6 receptions, 109 yards, a touchdown. A.J. Brown started this offense. He got them going today, and after that, it was game over. The Rams didn't have an answer. They put up 20 unanswered points, plus the 6 that Jordan Davis scored. This offense is elite. This is still the best offense in the league. The Eagles are still the top contender for the Super Bowl. Now, their defense, their special teams, I thought it won them the game. When you look at the big plays when it mattered most, yeah, their defense allowed 26 points, but after that touchdown early on in the third quarter, they stood strong. And at that point, they weren't put in the best position to get a stop. Like, Hurts fumbles in their own red zone, pretty much guaranteed score with a guy like Matthew Stafford coming at you from the opposition. So I thought the special teams units with the multiple blocked field goals and the defense, they stood strong, and they should be applauded for the work that they did today. I think you look at that Rams offense, this is a high-powered offense with Devontae Adams, with Puka, with Kyron Williams, with a veteran Hall of Famer, Matthew Stafford. A good defense. Philly stood strong. They showed some character. That was Super Bowl resiliency that they put on for us today. Great game. I think Philly is the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Offense got rolling. Defense was great. Give your respect everywhere on that offense with Hurts, A.J. Brown. Don't crap talk them because it will bite you in the ass. I promise. As for the Rams, we'll rip through this real quick before our next game. I thought they put up a really good fight. The Rams are Philly's biggest competition. I thought this was an NFC Conference Championship preview. It was a rematch of the divisional game from last year, which was super close. They gave Philly their toughest game of the playoff stretch, and I think they'll do it again this season. The Rams controlled the first half of the game against Philly. Philly just didn't have a response. Offense couldn't get going, and they were getting picked apart by Matthew Stafford. Stafford's arm is still unreal. And you got the trio of talent with Puka, Devontae Adams, and Kyron Williams. That's one of the best in the NFL right now. I said Puka and Adams was the best receiver duo to start the season, and it sure looks like it. They're elite. Both of them top 10 receivers in the league right now. That Rams defense, specifically the front 7, was a big factor against Philly. They're so young, but they continue to impact the game in big ways. 4 sacks today against Jalen Hurts. Now, I'll admit, the Rams aren't on par with Philly, but they're their biggest competition in the NFC. That was a playoff game. Minus the Jordan Davis miracle blocked field goal and touchdown. By the way, big man was moving down the field. Me and my dad were having a good laugh about it, just watching him. He's probably 350, moving down the field like a truck. Man, it was incredible to see. But anyways, the Rams could be a team that goes into the playoffs and shakes things up. The Rams could be a team that upsets the Eagles. They got to watch out. Philly is the better team, but the Rams could upset them any day of the week. The only questions I have about LA, and it's not even a question, more of a concern that I watched today. I broke down some Davante Adams film last week. He's incredible, but the offense tends to force feed Davante Adams. I'm not going to lie to you. Stafford force feeds Davante Adams. That's got to stop. Let the relationship naturally develop. You got Puka, you got Kyron Williams, and you also got Adams. Use all three of them when you get to the red zone. Don't force feed shots down the field at Davante Adams. It just doesn't make any sense. And I will say, Matthew Stafford, his injuries, they concern me a little bit, but he is one tough dude. Like, Matthew Stafford at, age 36, age 37 now, battling injuries, shows up weekly and puts it on for this franchise for no reason, just for the love of the game. He's got a Super Bowl. He solidified his spot in the Hall of Fame. How can you not be entertained and impressed with Matthew Stafford? If Matthew Stafford is healthy, this Rams team is a Super Bowl caliber roster. Stop force-feeding Adams. Let the relationship naturally develop, and you will do great things. The defense is really solid. Offense is packed with talent. They will give Philly problems when the conference championship rolls around. And one more thing I wanted to mention before we move on, actually, just at the bottom of the notes here, real quick. I wanted to talk about a penalty today in that game. Puka was called for a taunting foul, and I was just blown away. Taunting fouls in the NFL are out of freaking control. Puka spanned the ball and flexed in the direction of the fans and was flagged for taunting. The NFL is ruining its product with these taunting penalties. In no world should that be a taunting penalty on Puka Nacua. What they don't understand is these athletes get so hyped up and amped up in the moment, you're completely eliminating their ability to celebrate. If that's a taunting penalty, then pretty much anything, any sort of celebration is taunting. He wasn't in the defender's face. He wasn't doing anything extra. He flexed. That's it. That's literally all he did. So if the NFL wants to keep that element of excitement, which I'm sure it makes sense to do so, they got to limit these taunting penalties that are getting tossed out there for no reason. I hate it. I think it's unbelievable that these guys in the heat of the moment have to restrict themselves from doing a small celebration. Now I understand. I totally back the whole idea of like, hey, you can't spit in a guy's face, you can't slap a guy. Makes sense. But flexing your biceps after a big first down in a heated game, yeah, you can catch me later with that. No penalty. I hated it. I was so disturbed. It really pissed me off. Let's hop to Jaguars-Texans. Jaguars take it 17-10. Man, both teams, it was a stink fest. I'm watching, and I just don't have too many positive things to say about this Houston Texans team. C.J. Stroud today, 25 of 38, 204 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. I got to be honest, we need to talk about C.J. Stroud. We really do. For a quarterback who most regard as an elite top 10 QB, I haven't seen many, if any, elite performances in a long time from C.J. Stroud. Every pass I was watching today, besides the Nico Collins touchdown, was a check down. He's hesitant to drive the ball down the field. He's constantly resorting to dumping it off in the flats or a hook over the middle, whatever it is, some short ball. I'm not denying that the offensive line is horrendous, but that doesn't excuse Stroud for dirting so many balls, missing open targets, and throwing 2 really bad interceptions with a clean pocket. Elite quarterbacks in the league can improvise and make things happen regardless of the situation around them. Lamar Jackson's been doing it his whole career. Josh Allen currently does it with the Buffalo Bills every single game. Since his rookie season, CJ Stroud has been in a big slump, and we credit it to the offensive line, to the poor offensive line play. I get it. You can only do so much when you're not getting blocks. But as an elite quarterback, or as an deemed elite quarterback in the NFL, I need more. I'm sorry. I'm not saying CJ Stroud is trash. There should be blame directed all over the offense, but I need to see CJ Stroud take over a game. That's multiple games in a row. I've watched CJ Stroud have an opportunity to bury his opponent, and he missed it. He flat out missed it. So I support the idea of getting him some protection. We're going to get into it right away. Believe me, it's ridiculous that they haven't done so already. But the fact we refuse to put any blame on CJ Stroud for the offense putting up 10 total points, and if not for that Nico Collins touchdown, which resulted from a big turnover by the defense, which keeps them in games, it would have been even worse from a stats perspective. So as far as CJ Stroud goes, if we're going to list him as an elite quarterback in the NFL, I think we got to see more. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that. And I'm not saying he's trash. Before this is skewed in any which way, not saying he's trash, but if we're going to regard him as elite, we need to see more. As for the offensive line, and this is where I feel bad for Stroud, Houston's offensive line gets worse every single week. So, again, I'm going to contradict myself here. We can blame CJ Stroud, but the problem starts and ends with the offensive line. To this day, I will never understand why Laramie Tunsil was traded. I get it. He had some penalty issues last year. He was one of the most penalized players in the league. But that never, ever will constitute trading him, considering the state of your offensive line. That Jaguars front seven ran laps around Houston's offensive line. I honestly don't understand. Why do coaches and GMs refuse to protect their franchise quarterbacks? We can't expect CJ Stroud's decision-making and playmaking to seriously improve if he doesn't have time in the pocket. This is the Joe Burrow path. Both the Bengals and the Texans are refusing to protect their franchise quarterbacks, and their teams are falling at a rapid pace, and they are far from the playoffs. It's honestly scary. Houston has a major opportunity to actually miss the playoffs. And it's wild to think about. Starting the season, I was like, no way. Division's too easy. They'll dominate. They'll take over, as they always do. But what if they can't? They're down 3 games to the Colts right now. And the worst part about it all, I mean, it just adds to it, of course. Houston's got a huge penalty problem. They can't seem to avoid taking penalties. Every single week, this team is taking 8 to 12 penalties, and they come at the absolute worst times. We talk about DeMeco Ryans as a respected head coach in the NFL. This has to fall on his shoulders. It is not by coincidence that the Texans were a top 5 most penalized team last year, and again this season, and again today, they're taking penalties at the worst times possible. They're extending drives. They're taking back and eliminating big plays. It's absolutely unacceptable for a roster that is really talented, especially a defense that is top 3. You could argue number 1 in the NFL. And with the state of that offense, with the state of the penalties, it's crazy to say, but they might miss the damn playoffs. It's only week 3, so I'm not going to draw any conclusions, but Houston might miss the playoffs, and I am stunned. CJ Stroud has underperformed. They don't have any receiving options beside Nico. The run game is non-existent. The O-line stinks. They take too many penalties. The only bright spot is the defense. But the defense isn't going to win it all. It can keep them in games, but they have to put points on the board, and they can't shoot themselves in the foot with penalties. And I just don't know if they can do that, especially with how the Colts are rolling. We're going to talk about the Colts tomorrow and Daniel Jones. Unreal story there. Unreal. As for the Jags, let's hop over there. Big win for them, especially in the division. Again, these divisional games you need. Early in the year, you think they're a little bit insignificant. When it comes down to the wire and you're fighting for a playoff spot, they matter a lot more than you can expect. Trevor Lawrence, all right day. A lot of drops for the Jags receivers today. Don't know what's happening there. It's been a consistent problem. I remember even last year with Calvin Ridley watching the film. It was bad, but he throws a pretty bad pick. Stroud could have put him away. Nothing ended up happening after that, but they come away with the win, 17-10. My only concern with the Jags this week, where has Travis Hunter been all year? You draft him early in the first round. So my expectation would be to see him as a primary weapon for this offense. But I watch the games, and it's like he's a ghost for the majority of the time. Now, I got to be honest with you. I cannot testify to how he's been on defense. Haven't watched that film too closely. Not a defensive guru by any means. Not a cornerback guy by any means. I'll pay attention to it, but maybe he's doing well on defense. But from my perspective, you didn't really draft him to only produce on defense. He has 10 receptions, 76 total receiving yards over a 3-game span. And this was always my concern with Travis Hunter. You draft a guy, early first round, he needs to be an impact player, especially for a team like the Jags. What he did in college, unreal. It deserves recognition. But at the NFL level, is he truly elite at corner or receiver? I'm not saying he is or he isn't. I'm just asking a question. Because when you get to the NFL level, you got to be elite at something. You can't just float. You can't just be average because you'll get replaced. I expected Travis Hunter as an early first-round pick to walk in and be a 1A, 1B primary weapon with BTJ for this offense. And it hasn't been that way since. And this offense needs it. They need some juice. They need somebody to rely on because Brian Thomas Jr. hasn't had the greatest of starts to an NFL season. They need a guy like Travis Hunter to step up. Let's talk Pittsburgh Steelers 21, Patriots 14. This was the Patriots game to lose. I thought they had opportunities to put it away, but the Steelers at the end of the day, when it came down to it, they put points on the board when it mattered, and the Patriots just shot themselves in the foot time and time again. Man, it was tough to see. The Patriots are their own worst enemy. They should have dominated the Steelers today. 5 turnovers will almost always lose you a game, regardless of the opponent. You could be the damn Hall of Fame team, but if you lose the turnover battle that bad, you're pretty much screwed. 5 turnovers is absolutely absurd. They had multiple turnovers in the low red zone. Drake May interception at the end of the half, and Ramondre Stevenson's fumble on the goal line, literally inches away from the goal line. I was watching, and I legitimately could not believe my eyes. I was just chuckling. I think he had multiple fumbles today, too. Like, he's in the doghouse. Mike Vrabel's got to be pissed after what he watched. But again, they've shot themselves in the foot every single game so far. Week 1, remember, they had bad penalties, bad interception from Drake May. Today, again, interception from Drake May. Fumbled away a big drive. 4 out of 5 on 4th down conversions, but they couldn't convert the one that really mattered to tie the game. This team is not good enough to have this many errors and come back from it. They have to play near perfect football. You're not a Philly team that can start slow, start a first half of a game brutal, fumble away the ball, let the Rams put up points in the third quarter, and still come back and win. That is not happening for the Patriots. The Patriots aren't a good enough team to have countless self-inflicted mistakes. They're just not good enough. You got to clean that up. As far as Drake May goes, talked about it last week. Again today, I'm a big believer in Drake May. He's young. He's got a lot of development to do. Don't get me wrong. But you got to look at the talent and what he has shown us, even in small amounts, has been pretty impressive, I think. You can see the future with Drake May and the Patriots. I think, and here's my take, Drake May has the potential to be great for the Patriots. Like I said, there was a lot of room for growth, but every single week I see more encouraging improvements from him. 28 of 37, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception against the Steelers in week 3. He's extremely, extremely young. You can tell by the way he plays, he's a young quarterback. Some of his decision-making will put the ball in immediate harm's way, but that comes with time. Remember, Josh Allen had serious struggles putting the ball in harm's way, turning over the ball early in his career, and only now in year 7 and 8 has he fixed that problem. The great things about Drake May, he's formed a great relationship with his tight ends, specifically Hunter Henry, which is a really good thing to learn as a young quarterback, to have that second, third, fourth option in the offense, that third or fourth read that you can turn to, somebody that you can rely on as a check down the field, really all over the place if you got a versatile tight end like Hunter Henry. More encouraging stuff is that he's working with a below-average offense. He doesn't have the goal that Jalen Hurts has. He doesn't have the weapons that Joe Burrow's got. He's really working with average, probably below-average guys and below-average talent right now when you look at it on an NFL scale. So I encourage them and I urge the Patriots, take your time with Drake May. Him and Vrabel could be great one day together. Get him protected. Get him some serious weapons. The defense looks pretty good. At least they did today. They did their job. Take your time with Drake May. I think it will pay off for you in the future. As for the Steelers, we'll flip to them real quick. They've stuck with what works, and that's what's impressed me about Rodgers and Arthur Smith this season. They're just doing what has worked in the past for Aaron Rodgers. They're sticking to the basics, the play action, the rollouts, the back shoulder fades in the end zone. It's very simple football. You get within 10 yards of the end zone, throw it up to DK Metcalf. Give him a shot. Let him go make a play. Like, it makes total sense. The run game will be invisible all year long. They don't have a run game. Offensive line, sketchy. Defense so far this year, big game today, multiple big-time turnovers, but it hasn't been up to par, especially for being the highest paid defense in the NFL. It screams average to me. I think they're doing good things with Rodgers, but I think there's a limit to where this team can go, considering the talent that they have. But this is a big win. It pushes them to 2-1 on the season. Patriots fall to 1-2. I say keep an eye on Drake May. Steelers don't really tickle anything for me. Like, I don't know. I'm just not interested in the team at all. Like, you watch them. It's pretty basic stuff. Rodgers looks pretty good. Better than I expected, I'll be honest. But I don't think the Steelers go anything farther than a wild card game. And the Patriots, they've got some building to do, but there should be some hope over in New England with Drake May. Carolina, 30. Atlanta Falcons, 0. Holy shit. What on earth happened today? Bryce Young, I'm so happy to be talking about him back-to-back weeks. Are you kidding me? Bryce freaking Young, man. I support him. I'm in full support of Bryce Young. Today, 16-24, 121 yards, 0 touchdowns, 8 rushing yards, and a touchdown on the ground. I really hope Bryce Young has a long NFL career. I think he deserves it. I think the future for Bryce Young is bright. Now, to be transparent, I don't expect him to be a Josh Allen or a Lamar or a Patrick Mahomes or a Justin Herbert, but there is a place for him in the NFL. I truly believe it. Bryce Young has battled through haters, critics, non-believers, and he climbed his way back into a starting position and never looked back. Bryce Young is a great playmaker. Some of those throws across the middle these past few weeks, especially last week, watching him come back from a horrendous first half, were super impressive. Ted McMillan is the truth. He's the future for this franchise, the future number 1 receiver for Bryce Young. But the part that really bothers me with his situation and why I believe so heavily in Bryce Young and I want to see him succeed, whether or not it's in Carolina, Carolina is a brutal place to start a career. Drafted number 1 overall and expected to change a franchise that has so many more problems than quarterback is just unreasonable. They cut Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. Look at what they did when they left. Carolina is not necessarily the ideal spot for a young quarterback to succeed. So whether or not it's Carolina, Bryce Young deserves multiple opportunities in the league. He's a fighter, he's a competitor, and he's got the potential to be special with his talent. The second his confidence gets rolling, he plays great football. And you can visibly see the change in the way he moves, in his posture, in his decision-making. When he gets confidence, when he gets rolling, he's a good quarterback in the NFL. Kind of got overshadowed year 1 because C.J. Stroud went in there and balled out with the Texans. But look at him now. They're slowly closing the distance, closing that gap, and starting to play on a level playing field. I'm still taking CJ all day. Don't worry. But all I'm saying is give Bryce Young a shot. I think he's shown some impressive stuff, some bad stuff for sure too, but I want to root for him. I feel good rooting for him. And as for the Panthers, Carolina's got a lot of hope for the future. They should have hope. They're not making the playoffs this year, but I think they have something to root for. That defense was unreal today. Unreal. It was the best game I've seen from the Panthers in a very long time. Defense was great. Offense was turnover-free, mistake-free. Bryce Young, excellent. Played a great managing role today. And the defense really just went to work. Multiple interceptions, one of them a pick six. Michael Penix and the Falcons today, yikes. I made a video, posted the short on Saturday saying the Falcons looked like a playoff team. That backfired. People were definitely in the comments for that. And, what am I going to say, right? Like, what do you even say to that? I'm going to write this one off for the Falcons. Michael Penix had an off day. Team overall had an off day. Didn't look like it was gelling at all. They looked disinterested once they were down from a pretty big deficit. I'm going to write it off. I still think that they're up there in the playoff race, but the Bucs clear. Like, the Bucs are number 1 in this division by far. Let's talk Chicago Bears, Dallas Cowboys. We're going to hop into these later afternoon games. We've got 2 of them before we wrap things up here. Chicago Bears, 31. Dallas Cowboys, 14. Wow. For the media talking about Caleb and his failures so much, this was a big game. And I had a grin on my face watching it the entire time because Caleb Williams silenced the haters against the Cowboys. People told me this week he would be benched if he didn't have a good game. That was the best performance of his NFL career. When the doubt was the heaviest, when the most was watching, he had his biggest game of his career. Consistent production for 4 straight quarters, capitalizing on turnovers, making Dallas pay and finishing them when he had the opportunity to. He's had opportunities to put games away early on this season, specifically against the Vikings, and he wasn't able to do it. Today, he was lethal. He was amazing. Playmaking today, grade A. Always is. He's a playmaker, does things outside the pocket. Concerns me a little bit with how frantic he is, his decision-making. He threw back across his body earlier in the game by the sidelines. I was a little concerned, but that'll get cleaned up, I think, with Ben Johnson. They'll work on that. He led a 20-play drive in the third quarter under full control of Ben Johnson's offense and converted on a 4th down for a touchdown to put them at 31-14 Bears. Earlier in the game, he led an awesome drive to score at the end of the half. Cole Kmet in the back of the end zone. This is the Ben Johnson effect, all right? Every game Caleb Williams plays with Ben Johnson, he gets more and more confident with the offense, with the system, and you get games like this as a result. This was a huge boost of confidence for Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. The accuracy across the middle, hitting receivers in stride, it was amazing to see. He should have had 5 touchdowns today. When you think of that drop ball by Rome in the end zone, I think they hit a field goal then to put them up 17-14 at that point. Regardless, Rome is a baller, by the way, too. Wow. Look at what he's forming into. And then Ben Johnson. I mean, what a day from him as well. This connection really is, you're starting to see the vision, right? The first 2 weeks, you were like, is it going to work out? Is it not going to work out? You got to believe. People are so quick to make judgments in the NFL, and I'm a victim of that too. You know, I've done it before. Everyone does it because you watch what you see week 1, and it's hard. You got a whole week to think about it, but you got to stay strong. This connection looks amazing. Ben Johnson coached a pitch-perfect game plan against the Cowboys. Luther Burden finally became an option. We got Loveland getting some love. You had Zacchaeus on end-around plays. Like, it was unreal. Great day. And my favorite was Caleb Williams. 4 passing touchdowns today. High completion percentage. It was encouraging to see. That Dallas defense sucks. They stink. Matt Eberflus, I don't know if it's an Eberflus thing, if it's a talent thing. They don't got Micah. They just straight out stink. But the Bears put work on them, and well-deserved win. This was a big first win for this Bears team. Don't give up on Caleb Williams. The talent is evidently there. If Ben Johnson can coach him up with the consistency and the accuracy and the pocket presence and the ability to deliver in the pocket like we saw with Jared Goff and his offense, they're going to be completely fine. Last game we had here, Chargers 23, Broncos 20. Justin Herbert, ladies and gentlemen, OMG. OMG. Need I say any more? I don't think so. He's exceptional. He's a special talent. 28 of 47 today, 301 yards, touchdown, an interception. Justin Herbert is a generational quarterback. Pure talent, he's in the tier with Josh Allen. I truly believe so. I think so highly of Josh Allen as a Bills fan. I got to be honest with you. He is my guy. You know, if I wanted to start a franchise today, I'm going Josh Allen. Obviously, maybe a little bit biased, but he's incredible. But right up there is Justin Herbert. There is something real about the eye test for quarterbacks. And when you watch Justin Herbert, it is absolutely undeniable that he is an elite quarterback. I'm sorry. If you watch him and you think to yourself, he has some playoff troubles, yada, yada. I don't believe it. I don't see it. He's dominant. There's no better way to describe him. Physical features, check. Arm, check. Rushing threat, check. He checks every single necessary box. The playoff questions, the crumbles under pressure argument is made out to be a lot more serious than it really is. The Jags game, That was a lot more on that Chargers defense. And last year against the Texans, you're going to go to the stat sheet and see 4 interceptions or whatever it was. You watch the game, you see how those interceptions happened, then you come back and talk to me. All right? We need to make a stat for quarterback interceptions that were on the receiver. Because it happened today in the Dallas game against Dak. Dak threw it right off George Pickens' hands, landed in the lap of a DB, and it goes on the stat sheet against Dak as an interception. That has to change. We have to find a rule change because it hurts the image of quarterbacks like Justin Herbert who suffer from this big, extravagant 4-interception game where he sucked. Yeah, it's cap. It's cap. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. But back to Justin Herbert. The Herbert-Harbaugh connection was a match made in heaven. Just imagine Justin Herbert landed Andy Reid and the Chiefs in his draft year. Just imagine Justin Herbert started his career with a Bill Belichick and a Patriots defense, or an Andy Reid and a Chiefs offense. He would have at least won a Super Bowl. He would at least have one Super Bowl, if not more. Like, I don't get it. The Justin Herbert hate or critics or whatever you want to call it are people who tune into the playoff games and they refuse to see the bigger picture and the context, which is Justin Herbert has never had a team that could legitimately threaten and win a Super Bowl. He's just never had it. He's played multiple different roles. Earlier on in his career, he was Superman, throwing 40 touchdowns, 4,000, 5,000 yards, whatever it was. Now, last year, a little bit more laid back. Let the defense do a little bit of the work. Let the run game do the work. Now he's kind of molding into a role in between those two. He's elite. Okay, Justin Herbert is elite. If you don't think so, I urge you to turn on the tape because the tape doesn't lie. One of the big reasons I think they've been successful this year, Keenan Allen has been absolutely amazing this year. That's been the move of the year. Flat out. NFL, entire league. You can maybe think Daniel Jones. That's been pretty impressive for sure. As he's a quarterback, probably gets the nod there. But Keenan Allen deserves so much respect for the job he has done so far through 3 weeks with the Chargers. 19 receptions, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns, 1 in each game so far this season for Keenan Allen. He fits so naturally in this offense and looks absolutely incredible. Now, he played in it. He played with Justin Herbert, so if you expected anything else, I would question why, but I'm kind of shocked the way he's almost revived his career because last year in Chicago, I feel like most had kind of written him off as an older receiver. He's really made a name for himself back in LA with the Chargers. That Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnston stack is forming into an elite trio in the NFL. And then you want to talk about resurrecting careers? Holy smokes, Quentin Johnston. He's been balling, man. He has become a crucial element to this offense, and he looks really good. I love supporting guys that get so much hate and criticism and just ball out. And they prove people wrong, and they go out there and they just put in the work and put it on film. I love it. That's where my Bryce Young love comes from. That's where my Brock Purdy love comes from. That's where my Jalen Hurts love comes from. That's where my Quentin Johnston love is coming from. He looks exceptional. And keep in mind, this is all without Rashawn Slater, which I thought would be a much bigger loss than what it's shown to be so far this season. Denver Broncos, and then we'll wrap it up. Man, that is 2 weeks where they should have won the game. As much as I respect Justin Herbert, Broncos should have dominated this game. The defense was too good today, and the offense had too many opportunities to capitalize, and they didn't. Bo Nix today, 14 of 25, 150 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. Here's my take. Bo Nix has to step up for the Broncos to get a win this season. Bo Nix has to step up to get in the win column. End of story. Multiple times today, I watched Bo Nix with an opportunity to put the Chargers away miss Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims downfielder in the end zone. I think it was at least 3 times today. This Broncos defense is way too special and talented, probably top 5 in the league, for this team to be losing games like this. Same thing with the Texans. It is a top 5 group that had Justin Herbert pressured all day long. We need more from Bo Nix. Trips to the red zone, resulting in field goals, will not cut it if you have your eyes on a Super Bowl. You have to be excellent in the red zone. You got to put touchdowns on the board. You need to be lethal in that area of the football field. Last week, you cost yourself with a penalty to lose the game against the Colts. This week, you have 10 penalties for 90 yards. The Chargers had 3 for 25 yards. You lose the time of possession by more than 13 minutes. The Broncos can't scrape by with wins anymore. They're very talented. They have opportunities to win these games, but Bo Nix can't put it away. And there are people you can point at. It's not just Bo Nix, but I think as a quarterback, when you got that opportunity to lay down the dagger, you do it. You do it. I saw time and time again today, Bo Nix with the ball in his hands, overthrow receivers, wide open. The deep ball accuracy was just flat out lacking today. The Broncos could very well be a 3-0 team right now, but because they don't handle their own business, because they are not perfect in closing out games, they're 1-2, and they lost a divisional game. Not good. Not good. But they have the potential. They can get there. Let's see how that growth goes. With Sean Payton, I'm not concerned. I expect this to be a very talented and interesting division, especially with how the Chiefs are looking so far. I'm going to go ahead and watch Sunday Night Football. Speaking of the Chiefs right now, but thank you so much for tuning in. What a wild Sunday of NFL games. I got Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football rolling for you tomorrow with my boy Steven, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you so much. I'll catch you very soon in the next episode. Peace.